Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. So, as you all are all aware, we had started with the respiratory system. So, in the last video we have covered the pulmonary ventilation. Okay. So, pulmonary ventilation, which is one of the process which is involved in the respiration. Okay. So, the pulmonary ventilation, it involves the movement of the air, as we have seen, the exchange of air in between the lungs and the atmosphere. Okay. And the pulmonary ventilation or the external ventilation, it involves the exchange of gases. So, once the air moves in, exchange of gases will take place. So, after inhalation, exchange of gases will take place, and after that the exhalation will take place. So, inhalation, exhalation, these are the parts of the pulmonary ventilation. So, once ventilation takes place, that is inhalation, the exchange of gases will take place in the lungs. So, oxygen will be taken up by the pulmonary capillaries and carbon dioxide will be given out. So, this blood will then reach the heart. Heart will pump it throughout the body, and whatever oxygen present in the blood, that will be utilized by your tissues. So, this exchange of gases which takes place at tissue level, that is known as the internal respiration or the tissue respiration. Okay. So, this is to do with the process of respiration, wherein the exchange of gases will take place at different levels. So, for this exchange of gases to take place, we have seen that pulmonary ventilation must occur. Otherwise, the gaseous exchange, it is not possible, right? From where the oxygen will reach your lungs if you do not breathe in, if you do not inhale the air. You obtain it from the atmosphere, right? So, for that matter, you need to breathe the air. So, a certain amount of air is breathed every time, right? So, it is approximately the same volume of air that you breathe in and breathe out. Now, what happens when you breathe in forcefully? As we have seen that diaphragm, it flattens to increase the volume of thoracic cavity, the lungs will expand, and accordingly the amount of air will be breathed in. Now, what will happen if you breathe in forcefully? We have seen that the diaphragm, it may descend round up to 10 centimeters, right. So, you can breathe in more air if you breathe in forcefully. So, if you exhale forcefully, you can breathe out more amount of air. Okay. So, these volumes of air which you breathe in, breathe out, okay. So, this signifies the status of your lungs, whether your lungs are functioning properly or no. Supposing if your lungs are not appropriately functional, or if certain areas are collapsed, you will not be able to breathe in the normal amount, that is 500 ml of the air. Okay. So, these lung volumes and the capacities, lung capacities, these will tell you about the status of your lungs, whether they are functioning normally or not. Okay. So, these are diagnostic in nature. From the volumes or capacities, you will come to know the capacities are actually calculated from certain lung volumes by addition of certain lung volumes. So, they will tell you whether your lungs are functioning properly or no. Okay, so let us consider the lung volumes. Okay. Now, as you all are all aware, at rest a normal individual or a healthy adult breathes 12 times per minute. Okay. So, quiet respiration or the respiration at rest, if you can count the number of breaths, that is the number of times you inhale and exhale the air, that is 12 times per minute. Okay. So, each time you inhale and exhale the air, round about 500 ml of air moves into and out of the lung. Okay. So, the inhalation and exhalation at rest, it will move 500 ml of air. So, when you inhale, round about 500 ml of air enters your respiratory system, and when you exhale, the same 500 ml of air will be moving out of your respiratory system. So, this volume of one breath, that is a volume of air which you breathe in and out during one cycle, one breath, that is called as the tidal volume. VT is the accepted short form. Okay, so what is the tidal volume? It is a volume of air which moves into and out of the respiratory system per breath. Okay. Now, the next type of measurement is the minute ventilation. MV is the accepted short form for this. So, utilizing this tidal volume, you can find out what is the minute ventilation. Now, minute ventilation, what does this imply? The term implies the ventilation which is taking place over 1 minute. So, how you can find it out? So, this is the total volume of air which is inhaled and exhaled each minute. So, that is the meaning of minute ventilation. So, how much amount of air is moving in and out per minute? Now, you know from tidal volume what is the volume of air which moves in and out during one breath. So, can you find out how much of air moves per minute? It is very easy to calculate, right? So, it can be calculated by multiplying the respiratory rate, that is the rate of respiration. What is the rate of respiration now? Number of times you breathe per minute, right? So, that will be 12. Okay, so respiratory rate is 12. So, this can be multiplied by tidal volume, right? The tidal volume. So, that is the volume of air which moves in and out during one breath. So, respiratory rate multiplied by the tidal volume, that is 500 ml, that will give you the minute ventilation, right. So, 12 breaths per minute multiplied by 500 ml per breath. So, that will give you the minute ventilation. So, how much it will be? It will be 6000 ml, right. So, that is 6 liters per minute. So, this 2 will get cancelled, right. So, the unit will be ml per minute, or you can convert it into liters per minute. It is actually 6000 ml per minute. So, that is your minute ventilation. So, when you convert it to liters, it will be 6 liters per minute. Okay. Now, if this minute ventilation, if it is lower than normal, so we have found out it to be 6 liters per minute. So, supposing if it is below normal, it indicates that there is some kind of pulmonary malfunction. So, the ventilation is not taking place appropriately. That is why the minute ventilation is below normal. Now, how you will measure this? How you will find out how much of air you breathe in or breathe out? There should be some apparatus to measure it, right? So, the apparatus which is commonly used to measure this volume of air which is exchanged during the breathing, that is called as the spirometer. Spiro means breathe and meter means measuring device, or it is also called as the spirometer. So, this apparatus will measure how much of air, what is the volume of air which is moving in and out of your respiratory system, and the record which is seen, it is known as the spirogram. So, it will look something like this. This is the record. So, here the recording has started. Okay. So, it has recorded the inhalation as well as the exhalation. So, it has recorded the amount of air which has moved into and out of the respiratory system. Now, in this recording, the inhalation, it is recorded in the form of an upward deflection. So, as you can see, this is the inhalation. So, this upward deflection, that is the inhalation. So, how much of air you have breathed in? This is 2000, this is 3000. So, almost half of it. So, that is 500 ml, right. So, what is this? The amount of air which you breathe in and out during a single breath, that is known as the tidal volume, right, and that is 500 ml. Okay. So, inhalation is shown in the form of upward deflection, and the exhalation, it is recorded in the form of a downward deflection. As you can see, as it moves upwards during the inhalation, after which it is deflecting downwards, right. So, this indicates the exhalation. This is your inhalation, upward deflection, and this is your inhalation. Okay. So, this is inhalation, exhalation. So, this is how it is recorded. Now, this tidal volume, that is, how much is the tidal volume? Yes, that is 500 ml. So, this tidal volume, it can vary from person to person. Even it can vary in same person at different times also. So, it will not be exactly 500, but it may vary. Now, this particular value which is depicted over here, this is the value in an average healthy adult. So, it is roughly 500 ml, that is the value of the tidal volume. Okay. Now, though you are breathing in 500 ml of air, does the exchange of the gases take place everywhere throughout your respiratory system? So, this 500 ml, it will reach your respiratory system, right. Now, throughout your respiratory system, exchange of gases, does it take place? No. Where does it take place? It takes place across the respiratory membrane, right, in the alveoli. Okay. So, this entire 500 ml will not be involved in the exchange of gases, right. So, in a typical adult, round about 70% of the tidal volume, that is 350 ml. This is the volume of air out of the total volume which you breathe in. So, it is only 350 ml which actually reaches the respiratory zone. Now, remember the respiratory system, it can be divided into the conducting zone and the respiratory zone, right? The conducting airways. So, what is the role of this conducting zone? It is to just convey the air from the exterior towards your alveoli. So, does any exchange of gases take place at these level? No. Where is the exchange of gases taking place? In the respiratory zone, actually in the alveoli. Now, this respiratory zone, it comprises of the respiratory bronchioles, so which is a division within the lobules. If you can recall, within the segments there are several lobules. So, the branches of bronchioles which are entering over here, which further branch out to give the respiratory bronchioles. From this, again it subdivides into alveolar ducts, from which are budding the number of alveoli. So, alveolar sacs are containing more than 2 alveoli which are having common opening. So, the main functional unit is the alveoli, where actual exchange of gases will take place. Okay. So, this is the region which is actually participating in the external respiration, that is the exchange of gases. It will occur in this particular zone. So, how much of air is involved in the actual exchange of gases? It is only 350 ml, whereas the remaining 30%, that is 150 ml. Tidal volume is 500, right? So, 500 minus 350, it is 150 ml. So, this actually remains in the conducting airways, that is nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles and the terminal bronchioles, which are actually not involved in the process of the external respiration. So, in these regions, exchange of gases, it is not taking place. So, actually the entire volume, the tidal volume is not utilized for the respiration, external respiration. Okay. So, collectively these conducting airways along with the air which does not undergo any respiratory exchange. Here respiratory exchange is not taking place, right? Okay. So, these conducting airways along with the air which is present within these conducting airways, that is known as the anatomical dead space or the respiratory dead space. Why it is called as a dead space? Because it is not utilized, right? Actually, why you inhale? To obtain the oxygen, but from the air which is present in this particular region in the conducting airways, you are not utilizing for the exchange of gases, right? That is why it is called as the anatomical dead space or the respiratory dead space. Okay. So, out of the total minute ventilation which you have calculated, right, number of breaths per minute multiplied by the tidal volume. So, entire amount is not utilized for gaseous exchange, right, because some of it remains in the anatomical dead space. So, how do you carry out the calculation for finding out actual rate of ventilation? That is the actual rate of gaseous exchange which takes place. So, that can be calculated in the form of alveolar ventilation rate. So, that is the volume of air per minute that actually reaches the respiratory zone. So, when you find out that volume, you come to know that this particular volume will be utilized for the exchange of gases, right. So, it reaches the actual respiratory zone. So, whatever example we have discussed just now. So, how you can calculate the alveolar ventilation rate? That is the amount of air out of the tidal volume which is actually reaching the respiratory zone. So, how much it is? It is 300 ml. So, per breath out of the 500 ml of your tidal volume, only 350 ml is reaching the actual respiratory zone. So, that is 350 ml per breath multiplied by number of breaths per minute, that is 12, right. So, that will give you the actual alveolar ventilation rate. So, it is 4200 ml per minute. This is your actual alveolar ventilation rate. Remaining amount of air, it does not undergo any kind of gaseous exchange. Okay. Now, apart from the tidal volume, there are several other lung volumes which can be found out at a relative forceful breathing. So, tidal volume is the amount of air which moves in and out during normal breathing, right, quiet breathing. But apart from that, if you breathe in and out forcefully, the amount of air, the volume of air which you can breathe in or breathe out, it changes, right. So, from this again you can find out some additional lung volumes. So, usually these lung volumes, these are larger in case of males, taller individuals and younger adults, and these values are somewhat smaller in females, shorter individuals and the elderlies. The tidal volume, it remains the same, but these additional lung volumes after forceful breathing, these can vary. Okay. So, here onwards, whichever lung volumes and capacities which we will be discussing, these will have two values, okay, one in the males and another one in the females. So, the values which are depicted over here, okay, so these are the predicted normal values in an healthy adult individual. So, any variation in these values, okay, so any variation, it will help in diagnosis of various disorders by comparing them with the normal values. So, we will be discussing all the normal values over here. Okay. So, as we have already seen what is a tidal volume. So, it is a air which moves in and out per breath, that is 500 ml. So, this is your normal respiration, this is how it will look like. Now, supposing if you take a very deep breath, what will happen? You can inhale more amount of air, right, much more than the tidal volume, that is 500 ml. So, we have seen that the diaphragm, it can descend down, right. So, you can breathe in 2 to 3 liters of air, right. That is what we have seen in the pulmonary ventilation. So, this additional inhaled air, that is called as the inspiratory reserve volume. As you can see over here, this is your normal breathing. But as you breathe in forcefully, you will be able to breathe in extra amount of air, right? So, this extra amount of air which you can breathe in, apart from the tidal volume, that is known as the inspiratory reserve volume, and that is found to be 3100 ml in the average adult male and 1900 ml in an average adult female. So, values are different, as we have seen earlier that the values are somewhat higher in males, right. So, everywhere as you can see that there are two values which are given except tidal volume. Everywhere the lung volumes and capacities, all of them are variable in case of males and females. So, all the values are depicted over here. Okay, so, the inspiratory reserve volume in case of males it is 3100 ml and in case of females it is 1900 ml. Okay. Now, if you inhale normally and then exhale forcibly as much as possible, can you not exhale out more air? Yes, you are able to push out considerably more amount of air, right, you can move it out. So, this air which is moved out in addition to this tidal volume, that is 500 ml. So, that extra volume of air which you can exhale, if you inhale normally and exhale out forcibly, that extra volume of air, that is known as the expiratory reserve volume. This is the one, that is the expiratory reserve volume. So, again it is variable in case of males and females. In case of male it is 1200 ml and in case of females it is 700 ml. Now, this expiratory reserve volume, apart from this there is something called the forced expiratory volume in 1 second, which is usually calculated to diagnose the conditions like the COPD, in which these values are reduced because the airway resistance is increased. Okay. So, that is the accepted short form for this FEV 1.0. So, that is the volume of air which can be exhaled from the lungs in 1 second with maximum effort followed by maximum inhalation. So, this is calculated to diagnose the conditions, the pulmonary conditions like COPD, to check whether some kind of obstructions are present. Okay. Now, the next type of volume is the residual volume. Now, we have seen the expiratory reserve volume, right. So, that is the volume of air which you can exhale with forceful exhalation. Now, even if you exhale forcibly, can you exhale out all the air which is present within the lungs? No, it is not possible. So, a considerable amount of air still remains in the lungs. Now, why do you think it remains in the lung? That is because of the intrapleural pressure. Remember the intrapleural pressure, that is the pressure within the pleural cavity. So, it is always subatmospheric, right. So, it is always subatmospheric, 756, 754. So, it is always subatmospheric, 760 is the atmospheric pressure. So, it is always lower than the atmospheric pressure, and what we have seen, the air can flow from the area of high pressure to the area of low pressure, right. Now, since the intrapleural pressure always remains subatmospheric, even if you exhale out forcefully, So still some amount of air will be present within the lungs, right, which will prevent the lungs from collapsing. So it will keep the alveoli slightly inflated. Otherwise what will happen? Can you imagine if you can breathe out all the air which is present in your lungs, what will happen? The alveoli will collapse, right? So again forceful breathing in will be required to inflate them, right? So these alveoli, these are kept slightly inflated because of this subatmospheric pressure within the intrapleural region. Okay. So this volume of air which cannot be measured by the spirometer. Can it be measured? Can you exhale out all that? No, it will remain in your respiratory system, right? So it will not be recorded over here. What is recorded? Only the amount of air which you can breathe out forcefully. Beyond that, whatever air remains in your respiratory system, that will not be recorded over here, right? But still, this much amount of air is present in your respiratory system. So this volume of air which cannot be measured by the spirometer, that is known as the residual volume, and that is round about 1200 ml in case of males and 1100 ml in case of females. Okay. Now, supposing if you open up the thoracic cavity, now what will happen? The intrapleural pressure which was below the atmospheric pressure, it is subatmospheric pressure, right? So what will happen if you open the thoracic cavity? Obviously the pressure will be equal to the atmospheric pressure now. It will rise and it will become equal to the atmospheric pressure. So because of this, it forces out some amount of residual volume of air which is still present in it. So this air which is remaining in your thoracic cavity, that is known as the minimal volume. Okay, so this will help you in finding out whether the baby is born dead, whether it is a stillborn baby or whether it died after the birth. How you will come to know? Sometimes the babies, they are stillborn, that is they are born dead, or they might die immediately after they are born. So how you will find out? So this is one of the tool to find out the minimal volume. You can find out whether the baby was born dead or whether it died after the birth. Now, when the baby is present in the mother's womb, are the lungs functional? In the fetus, lungs are not functional, right? They are filled with the amniotic fluid. They are not functional. When does the lungs become functional? Only when the baby is born. So if the lungs contain small amount of air, that indicates that the baby has breathed after it has born and then it has died. And in case if the baby was stillborn, will there be any air present in the baby's lungs? No, there won't be any air. So what you can do is place a piece of lung in water and observe if it floats. Now if they contain the air, the lungs will float, right? And if they don't float, then what does it indicate? Air was absent in the lungs, so the baby is stillborn. Okay. So these are the lung volumes. Then coming to the lung capacities. Okay. So lung capacities, these are the combinations of specific lung volumes. Okay. So the first type of lung capacities, it is the inspiratory capacity. That's the one. So here in the picture it is depicted. It is a combination of which volumes? So, inspiratory capacity, it is the sum of the tidal volume and the inspiratory reserve volume. What is an inspiratory reserve volume? It is the air which you breathe in during forceful inhalation. So, that is the one. So, it is the sum of tidal volume and the inspiratory reserve volume. So, in case of males, how much it will be? Tidal volume, it is 500 ml, and the inspiratory reserve volume, it is 3100 ml. So, total inspiratory capacity or the inspiratory capacity will be 3600 ml, and in case of females also you can calculate it. So, tidal volume is 500 ml and the inspiratory reserve volume, it is 1900 ml, right. So, it will be 2400 ml will be the inspiratory capacity in case of females. The next lung capacity is the functional residual capacity. This is the one. So, it is the sum of residual volume. Remember the residual volume, the amount of air which cannot be measured by the spirometer. After forceful exhalation, still some amount of air remains in the lungs due to the subatmospheric pressure in the intrapleural region. So, that is the residual volume. So, functional residual capacity, it is the sum of residual volume and the expiratory reserve volume, that is the one. Okay. So, as you can see over here, it is depicted. So, how much it will be in case of males? It will be 1200 ml, that is the residual volume, and to that is added the expiratory reserve volume, that is also 1200 ml, right. So, it will be 2400 ml, the functional residual capacity in case of males. In case of females, how much it will be? Residual volume, it is 1100 ml and the expiratory reserve volume, it is 700 ml. So, 1800 ml is the functional residual capacity in case of females. Next type of capacity is the vital capacity. So, that is the sum of inspiratory reserve volume, tidal volume and the expiratory reserve volume, that is the one. Okay. So, as you can see that it is a sum of inspiratory reserve volume, tidal volume and expiratory reserve volume. So, how much it will be in case of males? What is the inspiratory reserve volume in case of males? It is 3100 ml, tidal volume it is 500 ml and the expiratory reserve volume it is 1200. So, the vital capacity in case of males is 4800 ml. And in case of females, the vital capacity it is the sum of inspiratory reserve volume, that is 1900 ml, tidal volume, that is 500 ml and the expiratory reserve volume, which is 700. So, the vital capacity in case of females it is 3100 ml. So, from these you can find out the total lung capacity. So, total lung capacity, it is the sum of vital capacity which we have calculated just now and the residual volume. So, all the volumes which can be measured by the spirometer plus the residual volume which cannot be measured by the spirometer will give you the total lung capacity. Okay. So, as you can see over here. So, in case of males, what was the vital capacity? 4800 ml, right, plus the residual volume. How much is the residual volume? In case of males it is 1200. So, it is 6000 ml, the total lung capacity in case of males, and females it will be 3100 ml, which is the vital capacity of the females, and the residual volume it is 1100 ml. So, the total lung capacity in case of females it will be 4200. So, it is very easy to find out the lung capacities if you know the lung volumes. okay, and the values are different in case of males and females, excepting the tidal volume. The tidal volume, it is constant, that is 500 ml in both male as well as female, but all the other volumes and the capacities these are variable. So, why do you find out these lung volumes and capacities? What is the significance to find out? They will tell you about the functioning of the lungs, whether they are functioning appropriately or no. So, if these are deviating from the normal values which we have seen, the approximate normal values, if it is deviating, it indicates that something is going wrong with the lungs, they are not functioning properly. So, you need to go for more extensive diagnosis to find out exactly what is the problem, why they are not functioning properly. Okay. So, this is the reference. Thank you for watching.